Hello, everybody. This is Toastmaster Neha from Stagecoach. And today in Tuesday Tuition, we are going to talk about infographics. I will take you through the uses, details, and planning your infographic. And then Toastmaster Pawan will help you execute one. So I hope you're all set. We have many things in this world we know. And there are even many things that we would want to know. And I'm sure most of you wish to know it all. But do we have enough time? The answer is a big no. Infographics has come to the rescue of all of us. Well, infographics can help you satisfy your curious mind within the limited time we have. Infographics tells you the information in the form of a simple story, which is very creative. It can be used to present anything and everything in the world, right from a small advertisement flyer to a deep study of a complicated subject. How about an example? Let us assume it's my first day at work and I am given a huge book on information about that organization. I don't know about you, but I won't go beyond 2 pages a day. And even if I do, I would not remember anything from the previous day. Now let's assume I go to another company and on my first day here, instead of a huge book, I get this. I loved the color. It was simple and easy to remember. I took a print and put it at my desk. Almost in no time, I knew all the information about that organization by heart, thanks to the flyer. Well, that is the power of infographic. An infographic must be appealing. People must want to look at it. It should have a message, and it must leave an impact on your audience so that it will be easy for them to remember and recollect. Now that we know about infographic and what it is all about, let's see what all it can contain. It can contain text, data, images, charts, maps, diagrams, etc., etc., etc. And of course, photos. But it cannot contain. Just kidding. Well, there is nothing that an infographic cannot contain. You are the decision maker, and you can include whatever you want to make it impactful. For example, if I were to present the percentage of dosha stalls across the city in a pie diagram, I would present it like a dosha, which is broken into according to the percentages. I know you can think of better examples, but I just love food. Here are some of the commonly used infographic elements. We don't have maps and photos in here, but I'm sure you get the idea. By now, I believe all of us know about infographics. But why is it being talked about so much? I am sure it's because of its uses. Let's take a look at a few of them. A is the mother of B, who's the son of C, whose brother is D. Then what is A to C? Why strain your brain? How about making a flow chart? Wouldn't that be simple? If you are able to visualize your data, it will become easy to organize and plan. You can interpret data better with infographics. It helps you identify hidden relationships. Let us assume I see two posts of an event. The first one has just the title in bright colors, brightest possible colors. And the next post is interesting, but also gives me information about what, when, where, and why. Which one do you think will persuade me to attend the event? Well, there are many, many more uses to it, but I think we get the idea. So let's move on to the big question. Why should you know about infographics? The answer is smartness. Yes, it will make you feel smarter. When I was able to learn and understand about my organization in no time, using that flyer, remember, I felt smarter. And that's when I realized that structuring the data in a creative way can do wonders. Let's talk about a few. You can arrange your data based on hierarchy and priority. Grouping similar things helps. And sometimes breaking data into different things also helps. Comparisons, before after effect. How about talking about the flow of time, something changing over a period of time? You can also weave different pieces of information into a story. It becomes interesting and easy to remember. Now I know infographic can help me. But how do I make a good infographic? There are just two things you need to remember. Well, they are content and design. Let's talk about content first. What makes a good content? Well, you need to have correct content. Remember, it is always better to avoid assumptions. Present only the facts. Check your grammar and beware of typos. I would always suggest you to get your content reviewed before you publish it. Avoid confusion by sticking to a logical flow of content. Have you ever observed that most of the times in newspaper, the content starts from the left-hand top corner and moves or flows till the right-hand bottom corner? Well, keep your content relevant to your audience. That can be done by understanding their needs and then creating your content accordingly. Keep it more visual. Try to use images instead of text. Do not overwrite, but at the same time, try not to use too many diagrams. Even that would be uncluttered. Make sure that important stuff is highlighted. We must be able to get a basic idea of the message with just a glance. Even if you don't believe in love at first sight, you better believe in info at first sight, because most of your audience will just skim through it. All right, so I believe we're good with content. Let us move to design. Let's be professional. Avoid using too many bright colors and many things like that. We like looking at things which are symmetric. So using a grid would help. Don't dump all the information you have. Pick only what is really needed. It must be skimmable. Remember, we talked about info at first sight? Pay attention to the font you choose. This reminds me of the very famous terms and conditions apply. It is all the font game. If one image dominates your entire infographic, it is fine. As long as you think the purpose is served, use it. Now that we know the do's and don'ts, let's plan to make an infographic. Are we all ready? I presume yes. Moving on. Planning is the key to success, and infographics is no exception. It is better you analyze your goal. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what is the purpose of it? Understand and analyze your audience needs, because everything you present depends on what your audience expects. Plan your story. You're going to compare or classify or contrast. Remember, we talked about different ways in which we could structure the data? Choosing something interesting for your content would definitely help. Research on your topic. If you have already attempted your CC7, you know that it's not an easy thing to do. But you need to gather as much information as possible about your infographic content. Sketching. It is nothing but making a rough draft. It gives you a basic idea of what you want your infographic to look like, so that you can build your vision on it and detail it accordingly. Executing your infographic. Well, before I let Toastmaster Pavan take over, there are a few tips that can be helpful while executing an infographic. Infographic involves a lot of things, and it's quite possible that we might not be good at everything. You can still work with what you have. If you cannot draw, use photos. If designing is a challenge, you can find some templates online. If you're not sure of writing skills, then get your content reviewed or have someone edit it for you. And this is something I would suggest you to do even if you are sure of your writing skills. If you can't find time, convince your friend to do it for you. And if you don't have money, it's all about getting creative. In the end, I'd like to talk about Adobe Illustrator. This is a very nice tool that can help you create various elements of infographic like charts, pie diagrams, maps, etc. Thank you everyone for your support. That was my
Good evening. This is Toastmaster Darshan, and I'm here today to show you how do you create an infographic using the PowerPoint tool. So having learned the basics from Toastmaster Neha, let's look at it. How do you actually use a tool as simple as PowerPoint, which we use in day-to-day activities to create an infographic? So what you see on my screen right now is a simple infographic which has a mix of information in terms of text, in terms of 3D effect, the graph, charts, some icons which give information, and then logos where the event was held, etc., etc. So this infographic was created not only to talk about what high performance leadership is, but also post-event, who attended, what type of clubs attended, what was the discussion around, was there a guidance committee, what is the link to the registration, and so on and so forth. So in next few minutes, let's look at how do you create infographic from the tool PowerPoint. So I'm going to create this one right from the scratch and give you some steps and an idea how do you create similar infographics using PowerPoint. All right, to begin with, I'll just go to Insert and Shape and have a normal pentagon shape inserted here, something like this. This is essentially used to create some text on it. So, okay, once I have this, you know how you can always copy paste and bring into different forms and then color them. So if you make them into different colors from Format tool, something what you are going to look at will be like this. So I know that I'm going to have 5 important points and therefore these 5 pentagons with 5 different colors. So the next step would be obviously to add some text on these, which is the main purpose to have these elongated pentagons. So I just copied the text from my another machine and I'm just going to paste them here. Now you see all these have some text. Now each of these texts represents something else. First one represents what, and then who, when, why, how. So how do you represent that? You create again insert a shape and give this shape certain outline, and you can use one of the presets from the system or go and create a shadow out there. So let's say I do this and I bring this to here. Now the idea is to give a 3D effect from the 2D effect, so you have to create another shape which blends with this and gives you a 3D effect. Now if you observe, this particular area becomes a cube, which is a 3D cube, and you can see it is slightly embossed out of the actual pentagon shape that was created. Now once you have this, you can copy and then paste them onto different pentagons and then go ahead and use the format and change the color to what you want. So now you see that you have what, why, and all. So for simplicity, I actually created in the interest of time, and I'll just quickly bring this over for you to see how it looks like. You also have the shadows right there, which will give this embossed look. Now, this is fine. However, if you observe, uh, there is still a missing element here that you can see the curved shape of the pentagon, but it would be really good if we insert a shape as a rectangular and then just insert it right there so that it gives the effect of the pentagon arrows. When they meet this rectangular shape, they take a bulge out and then become straight again. So if you look at it now, it gives you a little bit of 3D effect. What next? I still have some space here and I want to get some more designs to it. I'll go to insert, I'll go to shape and have this shape called chevron created something like this. Now you can have multiple chevrons and then select one of them, right click, go to format shape and not create, but then increase the transparency. If you want to bring this here and then bring these here. The idea is to have certain shapes which you can then blend it to give you a more prominent 3D effect. Slightly correcting this one as well. And changing the color. Here you go. Now, the next step would be to have an image in the background, and we are talking about high performance leadership. So I have in mind that what exactly I want to get. I'll go to internet and browse through certain arrows that gives high performance. It should resemble the theme, right? So I go on internet and I browse through and I find something. This is interesting. We have different pieces tie up together. There is an arrow and there is a push. That means you really have to scale up. Now, this image is good. However, it is not compatible from the color point of view to my infographic. So PowerPoint gives you an option of format. Go to artistic effect. You can create any artistic effect with, choose any one of these. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to remove this and make it a black and white image. And then I say, okay, let's do a little bit blurry or a glass effect. And let's say I settle down on this one. So now once you settle on this one, you can always have this image in the background, and what all text, remember you created right here, this can appear in the foreground. Now the moment you right click and say this image to go to background, this is what you can get to. Once you have this information, you can definitely add more information related to what high performance leadership drive is, who presents it, and things like logo. So this information is then brought up. This is a word art that I have used here from format. You can use different forms of word art depending upon, you can have it something like this, which resembles the theme, or you could have something which brings out the color as well. So let's say we settle down to this one. Now what else? Now let's say we talk about the event. How was it? Were there attendees? There were different types of clubs where the activities were discussed. Was TM related or non-TM related, and so on and so forth. So the next step would be to go on internet and then kind of find icons. For example, here I want to create a male and female icon representing how many people attended, right? So you have plenty of them. You can choose one of the PNG formats of the image which you want to bring it up. So let's say I settle down on the icon here and then save it and then go to insert and bring it. I choose a PNG format so that my background doesn't messes up, and then have this information here. Next, I want to bring the different club types, and one of the chart would be a great idea to bring it here. I download an icon for the pie chart. Then I would want to bring information related to what kind of activities were discussed. So something which resembles two colors. So this fits into the context I'm talking about. Then, since I have been talking about guidance committee and the feedback is involved, so I will bring an icon that shows there is a feedback loop and there are people who will help you to have through and through discussion. The next step would be to get the information related to the registrations, because registrations are up. So you might want to bring something that gives you the registration link. Now, all this is good. However, the context comes in when you really have text associated with each of them. So on the next slide, I have written text to each of these elements or icons that we bring. And now if you see, it makes more sense that there were attendees, out of which 10 were female, 30 were male, and then there were corporate clubs attending community clubs and college clubs. The activity was related to TM for Black, and this orange represents non-TM related activity was also discussed. Guidance committee, and then registrations are open. So at this point in time, you will see that we spoke about in the first section of the infographic what exactly it is and the 5 Ws of HPL, and then we talked about the event. Now, we can bring in certain other information what is relevant, but for the purpose of today's infographic, I'm going to bring information like what are the 5 major steps to attend an infographic, and who sponsored this, and where was it conducted. So the 5 major steps would be to attend a meeting and then understand HPL, set your goals, and take help from the TMs, which are the guidance committee, and pursue your HPL, right? So pursue your HPL, you have to go and register your HPL. You bring this content and then do the color coding that blends well with your theme. Next, I would want to go and bring in the logo of divisions ENFH that sponsored this event, and the next step would be to insert a shape. Let's say I want to go with a teardrop and say, okay, this was conducted at so and so place. So you have an option to, in the teardrop, to change the shape. But if you look at this, this is quite dark in color. I want to format the shape and increase the transparency so that it blends with the actual theme. And then I would want to write the text here, where was this conducted, and things like that. So if I write this, this will be something like Jan 8, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Tech Mahindra. Now, if you look at this, completes the overall infographic. It gives the information in 3D form. It gives icons and images and charts which talk about different segment of the HPL, and then what are the major 5 steps, who sponsored it, when and where. So essentially, this has a lot of text. However, the text has been converted into different formats depending upon which format is convenient, and then it has been brought together on PowerPoint as a tool to create the final infographic. And then you have to go and save as. Once you save as, you can browse and then go to option as PNG. And system will ask you, do you want to export all the slides? You say no, just this one, which is the final slide. And once you save, this becomes an image. And right now, what I have opened is an image format. So this was it. Hope you enjoyed this. Toastmaster Pawan and Toastmaster Neha will take you further on the infographic session. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm back again. Now that we know the theory of infographics and have seen how to create one, it's now time for Toastmaster Pawan to tell us more about it in the form of a beautiful story. Hope you'll enjoy it.
Club, and I will be guiding you guys through the second leg of the session today. Neha has already explained to you the theoretical aspects of infographics, like what exactly an infographic is, what you can take out from an infographic, and also how to plan your infographic. Now, what I personally feel is no matter how much you learn theoretically, until and unless you implement it in some aspect, the learning is incomplete. That is what I'll be doing for you guys today. I'll be imbibing some fun into the beautiful theoretical aspects taught to you by Neha earlier. Because no matter what you do, learning without execution is like, as you can see, a problem without a solution. I will show you a few infographics that I made in a simple way to guide you through a scenario which I'll be describing to you in some time. So, what are we waiting for? Let's jump in. Now, life in a metro, an IT employee's version. This is the story that I've built around to create some infographics. There's an imaginary guy named Pavan. No, it's not me. By the way, I don't live in Delhi too. There's an imaginary guy who's also an IT employee. His name is Pavan. He stays in a metro city called Delhi. His office timings are same as most of us, 9 to 6. I can see the wry smile on some of the faces out there. And also, the poor guy had an interview the next day to attend at 9 a.m. There's a guy named Pavan who stays in Delhi, who's also an IT employee, and his office timings are 9 to 6, and he has an interview the next day. But the poor fellow's sleeping habits had other plans. What happened next is to be known pretty quickly. He had to wake up at 9 a.m., but this poor fellow overslept by 2 hours and he woke up at 11. All his interview plans shattered, but what could he do? At this point, what I did was I gathered theoretical data of average sleeping time of all the individuals in different age groups given by National Sleep Foundation. For example, the average sleeping time of a toddler between 0 to 1 years of age was 14 hours per day. And we all wanted to grow up as quick as possible. 14 hours of day, my dear friends. 14 hours a day. Okay, back to the topic. What I did was I created a bar graph over here. At in the x-axis, I placed all the different age groups, and in the y-axis, I placed the minimum time in hours. So you can see Pawan's age group was 18 to 25, and the average time is 7 to 8 hours, and this person slept for 10 hours. I know he's up for a role right now, but what can we do? Metro city, loads of traffic, and no, we don't know what was waiting for him in the store. In this way, whatever theoretical data you get, you can either create a bar graph to illustrate it in a better way. See what I did here. I just took some theory and showed you with the help of a bar graph. And now, little did he know how the situation was outside. It was already 11 and he had to rush to stand any chance. The mercury levels, as you can say, it's the month of January in Delhi. In September, it's around 38 average, and at the same way, you can see January. What the average temperature is 11 degrees Celsius. It's chilling outside. I don't know what he will do, but yeah, what I did here was I took out the average temperatures of Delhi from Google and just created a normal curve which better illustrates. I mean, you call someone and tell him that average temperature of Delhi in September is, October is, November is, becomes too lengthy. Just show him this infographic, and in one picture, he gets an information worth 5 to 10 lines, minimizing the effort and at the same time maximizing the information too. I place the months in the x-axis and the temperatures in the y-axis, and it's a simple, was designed using a simple PowerPoint curve. That's the best part. When climate and calamity are in a tandem, my dear friends, he stepped out of his house, daring the temperature, but there was another tea waiting to give him a talismanic experience of living in a metro city. The traffic. He had to reach from Karol Bagh to Hastinapur. You see this pie chart over here? He's at Karol Bagh. The traffic is pretty minimal over here. But he had to pass through Vasant Vihar. Ahaha. Look at the red part in the pie chart and the picture behind you. This is Vasant Vihar's traffic situation, and he had to rush through the place, which is not possible at this point of time. You get the idea of what I did here. I depicted the traffic levels of different areas through which he's got to pass to reach his destiny using a pie chart. You look at the traffic levels of Vasant Vihar, which are at the highest. Hastinapur is pretty safe, and then there's Rajiv Chowk, which most of you Delhiites must be knowing is a junction of kind of thing. The traffic levels are obviously high at those places, and this being 11 a.m. timing, all the IT employees will be on roads. This is an effective way of representing any situation. Not only this traffic, you could have also represented the previous sleep timings thing using a pie chart. Now he's finally reached the place, and look at his profile, my dear friends. I used infographics to illustrate how this person built his profile. And this also brings in one more advantage of infographics. You can also build effective resume or a profile using them. Look what this person did. In the display picture, he put the picture of an owl. A picture of an owl? Seriously? And look what is wrote in the description. I want this job. Give me this job. I definitely need this job. There's a ground in my backyard. That's my background. And the languages which he knows are nowhere near to reality. Favorite activity is sleeping, eating, sleeping. And some that the smileys in the bottom give you a better picture of what exactly is he trying to do. Is he fooling around with the interviewer? If I was the interviewer or any of you was a one, this would have been a waste paper by now. And now it I get to an important aspect of keeping fun aside and getting back to reality. How exactly infographics can be useful in building your profile or a resume. A good picture template, a good about me page, a succinct background information. See, you can see there's not much text, and it's pretty easy for an interviewer to just look at it instead of tons of text resumes which all of us prepare. It gives it a clear picture of what kind of hobbies you have and what kind of achievements you've done. You can see in the bottom five you worked in five companies and different kinds of travel information, and at the same time your background gives him a clear picture in one or two lines about what exactly you are. Finally the interview ended and it was time for some feedback. How what exactly do you expect from a person who puts the picture of an owl in his profile and gives a wonderful background information like that? Let's see what the feedback survey had for him. Here I created an infographic using an online tool called PictoChart for a candidate feedback survey to understand what exactly a candidate felt having been interviewed by esteemed individuals at Pakhandi IT firm. You can see the different types of questions asked over here, like how do you evaluate your interview experience? Did the interview start on time? And will you recommend us to your friends as an employer? This tool called PictoChart gives you a lot of options for creating infographics, like the pictures of these people and all these emoticons in the interview process thing, and at the same time the stars, the ratings thing which you could see over here, and also the simple bar graphs. It's a congregation of all the tools required to make effective infographics like this. Now, coming back to our story, what exactly does this candidate feedback survey contain? You can see the first question, how would you evaluate your interview experience? It shows different kinds of emoticons. The first one is totally distraught and the last one is totally excited. That shows you what exactly these emoticons are meant for. The first one is meant for giving a very bad rating to the interviewer, and at the same time it increases gradually to 2, 3, 4, and the 5-star rating, the emoticon displays a very happy person. The interview process, how it was. In this, you see different icons which show very good, good, average, or boring, you can say, time taking, and not at all good. The same thing, we've used different colors to represent those bars and we've described it at the bottom. In this way, you can use PictoChart to create effective infographics like this one, a candidate satisfaction survey, or you can also design posters or event invitations in this way. And after going home, now coming back to our story, Pawan went back and checked if unemployed and helpless people like him existed around the globe. What he did was he just took the help of an online search engine to check if what the unemployment rates are around the world. And he wasn't disappointed. A lot of people like him existed around the world. Now this hasn't been taken from the internet. I used a tool called StatPlanet. I repeat, StatPlanet, StatPlanet, to design this infographic. StatPlanet gives you a macro with which you can edit the data in a given map template in the way you want. What I did was, this map template is given by default in the tool. All I did was I just edited the Excel sheet given along with it and placed the data of unemployment rates across the world from the World Bank website into this one. Now whatever data you place in the Excel sheet is effectively expressed through maps like this. You can see the countries which are shaded in this dark blue color have an unemployment rate of greater than 11% of total population. So you can see that half of Africa, Middle East, and most of Europe. I was shocked to see these figures, that but you are saying it right, even Europe has a lot of unemployment. Let me show you some more examples. This is one more example of a map infographic, the same one which I told you, but this has been taken straight from the internet. What this Now this my infographic gives you information about the different places from which United States gets its oil. You can argue with me that this is the same, but yes, they are one and the same, but the way of representing both the infographics, this was my purpose of including these two here. The same information, oil imports of US, they can be either described in that more informative way or this, a succinct, more precise way with less fuss. You can see that most of the places are in and around the Middle East. I would leave the detail for some other day, but the purpose of it was showing how map infographics can be used effectively. Now, this one is yet another usage of infographics, of showing you different details about what happens 1 hour after you drink a can of Coke. You can read the theory at a later part by just pausing the video. But this is one more way you can use infographics, describing things, giving more information about existing things in a better and a way that is very engaging, I would say. Generally, you call a person and tell him that Coca Cola contains this, what this happens after 10 minutes, 1 hour, he won't listen to you. But that is that. Now, let me show you a sample infographic of how it can be made. These are the infographics available in PowerPoint: XY curve, spice, bars, area, radar, bar charts, and reports. What I did was I created a sample line, or you can say a curve, to just illustrate how I did this in the mercury levels example which I showed you earlier. You get a template like this which is similar to Excel. You just enter the name of the cities over here, or any indicator for which you want to draw a curve. At this point you can put the names of the cities over here, and you can use that column to indicate what information you want to depict. Here what I did was I used an example of stocks in this city, in these particular cities. There you can see. Now that the background isn't visible, I changed the background of this to a much more visible color. There you can see a beautiful way of depicting information. You could tell someone that these are the stocks of Mumbai, Hyderabad, and he'll be bored. Just show him this picture and he's very much engaged in the topic. Now to give you a gist of what other kind of infographics we have, let me illustrate another one for you. I draw an XY curve over here, and there comes the data which we always get. You can put one indicator on x-axis and the other on y-axis and tabulate whatever values you want. You can see that the chart changes dynamically based on the values you enter here. This can be used for a mathematical purpose also. Most of the time, all the equations. Don't let me take you back to those 10th and 12th standard days. There you see. You can put any indicator on those axes and just present them beautifully in this way. Now to take you back to different kinds of, in this way you can make pies, bars, or the different kinds which we have in our PowerPoint. The purpose of me showing you this was to show you that you don't need to have an online tool to build whatever infographics you want. You can use the simplest of the open source tools in this world, Microsoft PowerPoint, to just illustrate what you learned and present it in an effective way. Now to summarize what should be taken out from this session, there it is. The content of an infographic. Make sure that you do not overshoot whatever you're writing or whatever you're depicting. Just make sure it's as precise as you want it to be, and imagine from a consumer's perspective or a student's perspective to whom you're going to depict it. If the information can be represented with the help of normal data, well and good. One thing, understand the purpose why you're using it. There you have the things which can be helpful for you in the design: logical color usage, simple and legible font, and also infographics. It's in the name itself. In presenting information in a graphical way. Use pictures to your advantage. Now, things to keep in mind before designing an infographic: your goal, the audience, the story. As I built a story today to better explain you the usage of infographics. Content and executing your infographic, once again, as I told you. And these are the tools which I used to depict to you guys: Pictochart, Canva, StatPlanet for maps, Google Images, and the savior for ages, Microsoft PowerPoint. I thoroughly enjoyed this session with.
Hi, I'm back again. So this was all about infographics. Should you have any questions about anything related to infographics, please comment below and we will get back to you. I, on behalf of us three, thank you all so much for your valuable time. Bye-bye.